Hello, 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 and welcome to the cup where we put the tea in reality, and where you can come here first to quench your thirst. Period. I remember some things. I talked to Sam. Sam reminded me. I was like, "Yes, I remember. This is where you come first to meet your reality thirst." I got you. I feel you. I am here. We are back. I am excited to be back. It's been a minute. Last time we were here, we were doing some cast assessments for this very show, and now we're here to talk about Survivor. Survivor has premiered, and we are here. But first, let me introduce ourselves because you might want to know who we are.
I was like, who are you?
I'm going. Of course.
I don't need an introduction. It's fine.
Look, they know who I am. Y'all know me. You know me. But if you don't know me, if you happen not to know me, I am Lana. I am your resident diva, here to give you all the tea. I love the tea. So if you have tea, you know what to do. Hit me up and give me all that tea. And if you want to be on a show like this, a reality, and talk about all things reality, you know what to do. Hit us up on @thecup_reality on Twitter. And I'm just drinking. Actually, I am Logan. I am drinking something today.
What?
I have my cup, and it's strawberry.
Is it strawberry sun-kissed?
Strawberry sun-kissed is what I am drinking.
Yes.
I am back to my strawberry sun-kissed phase, everybody.
I feel like that has to be a Survivor thing now for you. Because the last time I remember you drinking it was Survivor 42.
It was Survivor. It was. I might get back into sun-kissed for Survivor, period. So
love it.
But that's what I'm drinking today. And I also have water because, of course, hydration. Please.
Of course. And I'm Logan Murphy, a Say Something Gay. Gay here, water as always, because hydration, but we're also drinking my single favorite sparkling water on the planet. It is good old AHA Fuji apple and white tea, which I also feel like I associate with Survivor a little bit. Like I drank a lot of it during 42. I drink a lot of it normally, but I just bought another case. So,
period.
And
we have a special guest with us, someone new to the cup, and we loved having someone new on the cup. Please introduce yourselves, our beautiful guest co-host.
Hello, my name is Jack. I use any pronouns, so as long as you're respectful, use what you want. I am a game design student, a college student, an org host. What else can I say that sounds interesting?
A fabulous human being.
A fabulous human being, a Twitch streamer, and someone who drinks like way too much coffee. Like to a point where it should be an issue, but it legally isn't an addiction.
Oh, honey, you're in good company here. I do the same. I shut myself off about 6 p.m. and that's when I switched to caffeinated sparkling water.
It changes, yeah. And in honor of being here, I just have some good old-fashioned chamomile tea with honey and a fork because I didn't feel like getting a spoon.
You know, there are days where you just have to mix your tea with a fork, and I understand.
I mean, look, if you have a fork, a stirrer, or it doesn't matter as long as it get mixed. It's cool.
Exactly.
The back of a ladle, which I used today.
A whole
half of a spoon.
Well, I was using the ladle to get soup for lunch, and then I needed to stir my third cup of coffee, and I had already I wasn't planning on having a third cup of coffee, so I put my spoon in the sink already, so I said, back of the ladle, sure. And it worked perfectly fine.
It's
multitasking to solve a problem that really shouldn't exist.
Exactly. You know what else shouldn't exist? The person who was eliminated on this episode of Survivor. It shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened. But we'll get to that again.
We'll get to that. I will say, having Jack here with me and Logan, it just seems like a very high-risey reunion to me, and I love to see it. I'm just saying that theme has been coming back to me every day. People are reminding me this I'm just okay. I'm just putting it in an atmosphere that it just seems very convenient, and I'm talking to more and more people. So we'll talk about that off camera because that's our business.
Yeah, no one should think about what was
If
just
you know,
said
you
at all.
know.
Like, just ignore that thing in like the bottom left corner. That's irrelevant. We're just bringing it up for fun.
But if you know, you know. Anyway, Survivor happened. The premiere happened. And I was very excited about the premiere of Survivor because, coming off of last season's amazing Survivor, amazing winners, Marianne, so Survivor, killed it, Tribal Council. I literally watched her Tribal right before starting to watch the premiere.
I did too.
I was like getting in gear with what was about to happen because that was like a masterclass at what a tribal should look like. She nailed that. But we get started onto Survivor. And you know what? I liked the start of Survivor this season. I like, not that I don't normally like to start. I like how Jeff is very personable with the contestants, but his whole thing on asking these stories on when did you start watching Survivor? What got you into Survivor? I enjoyed that, getting to know some of the players on and their whys. What made them want to come on Survivor? And we've heard these stories a lot. Like people watch. I watched when I was from the beginning, or my family watched together, or this is something that I've been dreaming about. And I always find that nice. I always find it nice.
So that begs the question, Lana, Jack, when did you start watching Survivor? I'm gonna live my Jeff Probst moment and ask you.
I started watching Survivor from the first season. I actually watched Richard Hatch and that whole entire season from the very beginning. I can't say that I have watched every season because I've gotten into it really, really good. And then there have been moments where I fell off. Then I come back and I'll get back into it really again. Then I fall off again. But I watched the very first season of Survivor and I was like, this is a pretty decent show. Now, does my family watch it? No. No, I'm not one of those people who be like, me and my family all sat down and watched Survivor. No, it was just me. And I watched it, but I always knew I liked the show, but I could never be on the show because I am way too bougie to do Survivor. Period.
Valid.
So the earliest memory I have of Survivor is, okay, so first off, plug your ears if you don't want to feel old for a moment. Just like take the headphones off, anything you need. So I wasn't born until the first season of Survivor was fully aired. Like I just did not exist yet. The first memory I actually have of watching Survivor is being in a nice family room, probably at around, I want to say 9 or 10, watching Cambodia. That was the first season that I directly remember. I've watched basically every season since. I've been on and off going into high school and then going into college, specifically around the time that Island of the Idols and Winners at War aired. Once it was very obvious what was happening, I didn't watch it nearly as much. But starting with 41, I really got back into it. So it's been really, really nice to really get to study these more newer seasons and compare them to, honestly, kind of the oldest seasons where it feels like it's getting back to that vibe.
Logan, what about you?
Okay, so I've talked about before, and we'll probably talk again when we do our Amazing Race premiere coverage, which, breaking the fourth wall, we're recording right after this one. But like, Amazing Race was the first reality show I remember watching, and then Survivor was the second. And I didn't really get into like Big Brother as the third part of the holy trinity of CBS reality TV until much later. I remember like sparse things from early seasons. Like I remember watching Cook Islands. I have a couple memories from like Cook Islands. I remember watching Sandra and Parvati and like loving them. The first season I remember fully watching in its entirety was actually Guatemala. I remember watching Danny win, and that's why she's one of my favorite winners, just because I have that reverence and that like memory with her. I took a lot of time off of Survivor, and I came back to watch, I think it was Cagayan was the first season I came back and watched, and I've watched all of the seasons since then, and I've watched, I think, every season at least somewhat live since Cagayan.
Okay. Cool.
I think that's where I'm at.
Cool. Well, since we all said win, that's great. I think, and I like that. I love hearing where people love or, feeling for Survivor or these games come from. And so we hear all these stories about everybody's wheres and, wins and whys and whatever. It was nice. Then we get into the challenge, the first challenge. And I did not write down what the challenge was. So if either one of you gentlemen know what the challenge was.
I definitely do, because I took notes.
Yes, I also believe I know. But before we move on to that, so did they announce the tribe names before or after the challenge ended?
It was before.
It was
before. Yeah.
So Coco and Vessi are like totally normal. How did they not look into baka? Because if you've been on the internet at all, you know that baka is also a Japanese word for not being smart. Putting it simply. So
I was not aware.
Yeah. So I'm very, very curious who caught. I think Evie caught that, and they made a thread like comparing every single person on that tribe to what type of like otaku or like anime fan they would be. I would need to pull up the exact thing, but it was a very interesting thing to see. That's the actual name. Do they don't know. No, they don't know.
Wow. Look at Jack spilling the tea on the cup because I
know, right? I had literally no clue.
Did not know, but yeah, we did hear that. So, like you said, Coco, Vessi, and Baka are the tribe names. Okay, so for the first part of the show, I will admit I thought they kept saying Bessie, and I was like, who is Bessie with a B? And I was like, why are they saying Bessie? Because I remember doing our cast says I thought it was Vessi, and they were like,
we affectionally started calling them the Desi tribe because
we did say Desi because I just like Desi. Anyway,
it was Desi, baklava, and I don't remember what we did for Coco, but I think Coco was the obvious one.
I think Coco just was Coco by itself because I think that's it was Coco. It was a drag queen. You said
Coco Montrese, the Coco Montrese.
It was a drag queen. So that was what it was. So I was very confused when I thought they were saying Bessie, but then I was like, oh no, they're saying Bessie. But yeah. So y'all can tell them what the challenge was.
So we've got a good old-fashioned run into the jungle. And I was like, okay, we're running into the jungle. What advantages are we getting this time? Because there were no advantages.
No advantage.
So you had two people running into the jungle to retrieve crates, bring them back. Two people run into the shallow ocean to grab a boat and pull it back. And then the other two have to take the crates, all of the crates together and build a cube puzzle to which then one person climbs on top and uses a bamboo pole to get a flint off of a taller bamboo pole. And the winning tribe gets the most basic of starting materials, a flint, a pot, and a machete. Because we just don't want to give anyone anything on Survivor anymore.
Nope, it's back to the basics. You have to earn everything you get. So you get the basics of the bears of the necessities. And so we watched this challenge start to take place. And it's back and forth, I think, for a little bit. Like everybody was pretty even for a minute. And then I want to say Vessi broke off and was in the lead at one point. And then Coco went and got in the lead and came back with the boats first, and then Baka was struggling for a minute, but then they came back, and it was very typical Survivor challenges. Like everybody was in the race when it got towards the end of it, and putting together the puzzle. I think it was the equalizer for a lot of people, and then trying to get the flint off.
The flint was the real equalizer.
Yes, the flint was the equalizer, trying to get it off. And
I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry. Going back to the introductions really quickly, I appreciate James, my winner pick, by the way, for acknowledging the fact that Survivor Fiji exists. So thank you for acknowledging that Survivor Fiji exists and acknowledging Earl as a winner, because
people try to give great erasure to that amazing. I thought, me personally, felt like that was an amazing season. I liked it. I know people didn't care for it and they had their issues, but as a woman of color, Black woman, to see all three final tribal with 3 Black people, that meant a lot to me. So y'all can continue to try to erase Fiji, but I will never let that die.
I wrote it in all caps. I was like, oh my God, Fiji.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, the challenge.
But it got down to everybody was on the blocks trying to get the flint off. It was that's where everybody met, and it was equal partners trying to get it off. And it was, people were close. Like some people would get close, and that thing would just slide back down, and they'll pull it up and it slide back down. And it wasn't until Cody told Dwight to stick the flint in the hole, because it's a hole on the top, and if you put the thing in the hole and then pull it, it works. And
I already know, and I don't know if either of y'all watch Pritium, but I already know Pritium is planning an entire video, Time Survivor Players Hack Challenges part, I don't even know at this point. And that's going to be the first one. It's like 10 or 11 at this point.
Yeah.
We love Billy. Absolutely love his videos. But yeah, I know he was like, we're writing that down. We're putting that on the list. Great. Cool. Love it. I thought that was so ingenious. And it... Go ahead, John.
I am like, I was quickly reviewing the footage because I'm like, okay, how big is the hole? Like, is it that obvious? How did he figure it out? I'm trying to find if the other 2 poles had like a hole on top, or if it was kind of just flat as well. Like to see if it was just like an accidental thing where it's like, oh, one tribe accidentally got like a huge advantage by just having this one thing, because it was obviously not intended for them to try and put it in the actual stick and pull it out, because that was way too easy for what they did.
But I think I do think everybody had the hole, because I remember other people from other tribes was like, I could have put it in the hole. We didn't see the hole. We didn't use the hole. So I think it was everybody had the hole, but not everybody thought to use the hole.
Yeah, looking at it now, I'm specifically looking at Coco's stick. It's definitely like an inlet. It's not like a traditional, like you'd think like it's a hollow kind of hole, but more like just like basically a little bit down.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, Cody came up with for the big time for the win for the Vesey tribe. And they won the first challenge, and they got the machete and the pot and their flint. And
can we just I want to kind of focus on Vesey here for a second. The fact that they won the challenge and then it took them 30 hours to get fire.
Oh yeah, that
30 hours. I can't remember the last time that I saw a tribe that was as disorganized when it comes to making camp.
Yeah.
And this Vesey tribe. Like everyone immediately was just like, what do we do?
every single person expected there to be someone who knew how to build a shelter.
Because there normally is.
There normally is. This is like one of the few times where it's like, oh,
I think there's only really one person on this cast with that kind of experience, and that's Ryan.
I put it like this. I don't understand ever applying for Survivor and not practicing how to make fire. Like that should be one of your main things. If you ever, not even if you get on the show, but if you even think about applying for the show, you should be out there with some flint and some stuff and the hay, and you should be learning how to do some fire, because number one, you gonna need it at camp. That's number one. And number two, if you just so happen to make it to the end, you know it's a fire making challenge that you possibly can get in. That's like not knowing how to drive a stick going on Amazing Race. You should just know how to do that if you plan on applying for the show. Yeah. That's just some things you should just know how to do. You should know how to swim, and you should know how to make some fire. At least practice it a little bit so you can get some kind of grasp on how to do it, so you're not sitting there looking like, I don't know what we're doing. I can't build no shelter. I can't start no fight. You should have some kind of survival skills. If you play
when Justine even says that, she's like, my dad literally taught me how to make fire before I came out here, and the fact that I can't get this fire is frustrating. And then she's the one that ends up getting the fire, which I did love. I think I like her. I don't know. There's a lot of people that I still feel very neutral about. And there's some people who, honestly, I've turned a little negative against.
We'll talk about it.
There's one or two in particular. But I guess, do we want to go tribe by tribe? Because that's kind of how I wrote my notes out.
I mean, we can, because they, after the challenge, they disperse and go to their camps. So since we're on Vessi right now, we could just stick with Vessi and their chaotic selves. So not really knowing how to start a fire, not really knowing how to build a shelter, not really knowing anything. But I mean, like they built a shelter and literally it collapsed on people's heads. Like, I've never seen such foolishness.
The scene where it falls on Dwight, and then Justine is just sitting there, and it's the first time they actually spark something that looks like fire.
Like, oh, it's a fire!
Like, oh my god, a fire! And I'm like,
not that easy.
And then it went away.
I'm like, what is this? I do want to highlight, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter say this, and I thought the same thing. Dwight giving Bryce Isaiah vibes in the confessional with the with his buff over his head, with his buff over his head. I just absolutely loved that. But yeah, the other big thing to talk about with Vessi specifically on this first day is Cody, because he kind of gets most of the screen time, and we get Cody developing this strategy against Justine, because Justine is a sales representative. And what we also know is that Cody himself is also a sales representative, and I just never thought we would get a strategy based around someone being a sales rep.
I mean, I guess it's an evolution of like they're a college student, they're smart and they're strong, or they're a bodybuilder, they're all muscle, we need to vote them out. Like that kind of like job targeting or profession targeting.
So Survivor 41, it was college student. For Survivor 42, it was psychologist, and then Survivor 43 now it's sales representative.
Who's next?
I want to know.
Farmers. I don't know.
I want to know how dangerous is a sales rep. I mean, how dangerous are you? You're a sales rep. I mean, maybe you could lie. That's a good, because sales reps can lie to you and make you buy something you never wanted to buy in the first place. But I don't know. He knows because he's a sales rep too. So it's like, this sales rep on sales rep crime is very weird to me. But my I have a slight issue with Cody. I don't
I do too.
know
I
if
do as well.
I don't know if I like this man, and he's rubbing me a little bit of, like you said, he had a lot of screen time. Nine confessionals, according to the Survivor Wiki.
Did he have the most?
He had the most. He had the most. And so I'm thinking seeing more and more a lot of him is turning me off of him, because it's like, it's the first episode. We want to see everybody. We don't want to just see you. And his takes on things I don't really like. Like, we'll talk about it later, but because it's going to come up when they go on the trip, the voyage or whatever. But it's just
the journey, the destination. I don't know what we're calling it.
I don't know. Look, it's
Giant rock in the ocean trip. That's what we're calling it now. Giant rock in the ocean trip.
But whatever. It was a lot. It was interesting. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But let's move on to the Baka tribe, because the Baka tribe gets back to the camp. They finally get their camp, and they have to do to get their supplies. They have to do another challenge to get their supplies, to try to get their supplies. They have 4 hours to pick between. Well, they have 4 hours, and they have to pick between Savvy or Sweat. Savvy, of course, is a puzzle. Sweat is you have to dig up your supplies in this marked area in the sand. Owen cracked me up on this segment. Can I just say, Owen was like, they were like, I want to do Sweat. It was
Sammy.
Sammy was like, we should do Sweat. And Owen was like, I don't want to do Sweat, because if we agree to Sweat, then that means I'm gonna have to do Sweat too, and I don't want to do that.
Because Gabler's not able to do it.
Right. Who else would they go look at? And so Owen was like, no, thank you. And I was like, I wrote down in my notes, I felt that in my spirit, because I would have been like, are you serious right now? You want to do some Sweat with just 2 of us, when all of us can put our brains together and figure this thing out? I was like, no way.
But I did appreciate that these were at least different from 41 and 42, and obviously it had to be. But I think now that we've seen this twist a 3rd time, I think I like it. If we're only going to give one tribe materials to start out in the first reward, I do like this ability to gain the basic materials through this Savvy or Sweat twist. I didn't love it on 42 and I was fine, or 41 and I was fine with it on 42. I think now I'm like, they found ways around both Coco and Baka did, which I did appreciate both of those.
And also, as my throat decides not to work anymore,
it happens.
They did also change the challenges up. They were still very obviously like 1 or 2 brains or brawn, like that kind of vibe, but they very much did change it up from the triangle math counting puzzle to a more logic-based puzzle, which was very, very nice to see. And they also changed it from pure running and collection to, okay, the materials are in the ground, go get them.
Yeah.
They both seemed a lot easier.
Yeah,
they did.
I don't know.
So
they did seem easy, but for me, I would have never I would have been sitting on Savvy like, which one of y'all go figure this one out?
Yeah, the Sweat seemed a lot easier because it was in a predefined area. I don't know how deep it was, but it was definitely, there was strategy that could be employed versus just run back and forth. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree that that the Savvy puzzle was easier. I think it uses a different skill set. Yeah. And especially with the triangle Savvy puzzle, you definitely had to think of it in a different way where it was like, oh, you can't just count the triangles, but it is also algorithmic in a way where you can break it down in like a certain way and figure it out. This one was a lot more logic and rules based. So
it
that
might
was
be
very
because
interesting.
it might be because I've seen this one before, so I knew the answer. That's probably what most of it is. Is like I've seen it, so I knew that. Oh, you move the 2 and then you put the 2 like that. And I love that of all people to solve the puzzle, it's the person that didn't even want to do the puzzle.
Right.
And I understand what Sammy's saying in this moment where he's like, he says any single thing can be used against you to target you in this game. Like this kid clearly has a lot of knowledge about Survivor, and it makes me I'm very excited about him. And I was during the cast assessment, and I'm even more so now. But he's like, I want our tribe to do well, so I'll take this like kind of little sacrifice. We'll see if it does anything for his overall threat perception later on down the line. But he's like, let me blow your mind. Boom. And he doesn't even get the right answer. It's Janine who then is like, but what if we put it here to make a bigger number?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say, one of the things that wasn't necessarily clear and led to at least me misinterpreting the question, because this kind of like matchstick puzzle, if you've ever played like a Professor Layton game or like anything that like is a typical escape room puzzle, like that kind of vibe, normally the rules are slightly more clear. So like you can interpret it as, okay, it doesn't need to stay a 4-digit number. Mm-hmm. That part was slightly unclear whether or not it still needed to be a 4-digit number, because I came up, like when I did it, I was like, okay, this is the largest 4-digit number you can create. I'm not sure if there's a better solution, but I think this is the one that they would expect to pull out.
Yeah. It was interesting, but they got it right. It was Sammy just solved the puzzle. Janine assisted with the movement of the other one, came out with the number. Boom, boom, boom. They got their flint, they got their pots and machetes, and they were on their way to build their shelter and start the fire. Now, they pretty much got into a groove with theirs, I think better than Vessi, and was building. Owen was looking forward to jumping right in and starting the game. He was ready to go. Owen was like, I'm here. Survivor has started. Let's play the game. Everybody else on the tribe, not so much. They was like, hey, you guys, let's chill out. Let's make this shelter. Let's build this fire. Let's talk how we're doing, where you're from, who your mom and them, everybody. And everybody was very much trying to vibe. Owen was trying to play the game. And so he was getting very frustrated with his tribe because they were not trying to play the game. They were just trying to chill.
And he's on the one tribe that didn't do immediate strategizing on day one. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, I mean, that seems to be the luck of the draw, as it typically is for the people that want to start gaming immediately.
Exactly. Baka was pretty like chill. Like we had a moment where Mariah, Ellie, and Janine were talking, and Ellie was talking about her sister and the loss of her sister due to drug overdose, and they had a moment, and she was just like, oh my gosh, the girls was comforting her, and they were just like, we're good. I got you. You don't, just making her feel good. And she felt really comfortable with them and wanted to start the all-girl alliance and was like, let's start this all-girl alliance. Ladies, us work together and we can do some powerful things. And I was like, yes, period. Let's do this. They were doing it. And then then Ellie went and she talked to Gabler because Gabler was like, oh, you're a metalhead. And she's like, yeah, I'm pulling all these things from her sister's life.
Bands I've never heard of.
But her sister listened to them. So she's pulling them out of the air like, yeah, I'm a metalhead and I did this. And so her and Gabler connected. So she's like, cool. I got the girls. I got Gabler. Let's do it. And I'm me sitting at home like, yeah, girl, I love this.
Yeah,
Here
go ahead.
for
You got
it.
this.
Woohoo!
I will say, I am specifically about this. There was a very distinct editing notice of like, oh yeah, there's like some obviously copyright free, but like some music. Like
Yeah.
throughout the episode, there was like a lot of really nice stuff from all over the place. So there was the Sammy gag at the very start. There was Owen getting the title card. There was the punk music. There was just a lot of really nice editing tricks that they brought back from 41 and 42, and I'm so happy they did that.
Yeah, their drone shots have been amazing.
I forgot to mention the drone shot at the very start. I was like, okay.
They have really stepped up their game and how they present the show, and I love. Like I was in awe of the drone shots. I was like, oh, that's beautiful, and I do agree with those edits that they did about everything. It was nice.
The first time I remember actually being like really surprised and happy with the cinematography of the show, I remember Island of the Idols. And that's kind of the only thing I remember from that season, if I'm being honest. But I think they got a lot of their drone practice by literally just like showing the giant statues of Sandra and Boston Rob. But that's like the first time I remember in like the modern era really being like, oh wow, they like CBS did something here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think ever since then, it's just gotten better to the point where now I was really impressed with the way this episode was shot.
I agree. Oh, and we should also note that Sammy he lied about his age. He didn't want people to know he was 19. He told them he was 22. He said he felt like 19 was too young and people would not take him seriously.
Because he probably watched 41.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And so he was like, I don't want people to know I'm 19, and he wants to win at 19, be the youngest person to win Survivor. And honestly, I think he has a really good chance if he continues on the road that he's on. But he, like you said, who knows how that will come back and bite him in the butt later, but we'll see. Yeah.
I will say the only thing I don't like about Sammy is the fact that he goes to BYU. Like, that's literally the only negative I have towards that man. That's it. That's literally it. I don't even care. I love the fact that he's a pet cremator. I think that's so cool. I'm just like, choice of university. Anyway. Choices. Shall we move to the Coco Montrese tribe?
What's the Coco? Because similar to the Baca tribe, there is a all-girl alliance forming on the Coco tribe. Like, the ladies are coming to play together in this season, we see. And the ladies have Lindsay, Carla, and what's the other girl's
Cassidy.
name? Cassidy. Yeah,
Cassidy. I'm remembering names.
Thank you. They all decide that they want to work together, and they feel like this is a great time for them to come together. But Lindsay also wants to work with James, and so she's cool with James, pulling James in, and Carla is very happy to work with James. They're like, the girls and James can work together, and so they want to start this group with
And see, I like this alliance, but the problem is I also really like Ryan and Gio. And so I'm just like, don't send this tribe to try. I know I said that about Baca in the preseason, but like Baca's whatever at this point. I'm just like, please don't lose. Please. I want to see all of you in the merge. Please.
I will also say, except for quite literally one or two people before like the strategizing and tribal council phase happened, except for one person, I was kind of rooting for multiple people on all different tribes. This cast is extremely likable, and there's no one, at least except for like a couple exceptions where it's just like, I'm not really catching it. I really, really like this tribe, the tribes here, and the cast in general. It's been a really, really nice wake up.
I agree. I like a lot of people on all the tribes, but I did like seeing Carla and Gio talk, and they bonded over the first that they're married. They're both in the LGBTQ plus community, and they're both Hispanic, and they were just like they were sharing their stories, and I was like, this is lovely. We love to see people sharing their stories about, their life. And it was nice to see that bond between Carla and Gio.
Are they the only queer people on this season? I think they are.
I'm not sure. I don't want to say yes.
I'm not 100% sure either. I know they're the only two that have spoken about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm not confident either. I mean, I can look it up. Survivor 43.
I mean, I don't know, but while you're looking that up, we could. It was nice to see them talking and getting their stories out there. Because look, we don't have a lot of Hispanic queer representation on any show, really. So it's lovely to see that.
I can't think of the last queer Hispanic person I saw on television. I'm gonna be real honest. Other than Drag Race, mm-hmm. which is a given, minus Maddie Morphosis. I don't remember. I'm like, Jack will get that. Jack will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was a straight drag queen on the most recent season of RuPaul's Drag Race, Lana.
Oh, okay.
Just so you're aware, and the audience, but
yeah, straight.
I mean,
the big kick. It was a straight cis male.
Oh my god!
Can a straight? Oh my god! I'm about to say, can a straight man not do drag?
It's more that like drag is inherently based in a queer art form, so having a straight man do it is just like a kind of
it's rare
what happened, but basically Maddie Morphosis even said on the show, I don't want more straight men doing this. That's not the point. I got doctored into it. This is not an invitation for all the straight men in the world to jump on.
Yeah.
See, I kind of feel a little indifferent about that because, like, I see what he's saying, and I understand that it being a queer space, usually for a queer space. But I also feel like if we want to say things are equal, we want everybody to have equal rights of every sort, because we do have queer men actors playing straight roles, just like we have straight men actors playing queer roles. So I feel like if we wanted to be equal on across the board, then we should be able to be open and inviting on every front. But I get it though, because it's like when you have your space and your safe space for your community, you should be able to say, hey, straight white people or straight men don't need to be in this space because this ain't for you. Because I know me as a black woman, I say in some spaces that non-black people don't need to be in because this is our safe space. So I get it 100%. Look, if it's open and the invitation is open for people to do it, then you feel free to do it. But if they say no, respect that no.
Yeah,
it's more so just like, as long as you respect the space, like you said, like it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, the drag is good. So, like, who cares? Anyway, quick drag conversation. We check out all our Drag Race coverage.
We love a quick drag in conversation in the midst of Survivor. Why
check
not?
out our Drag Race coverage. There's too much.
But
anyway, what I was saying is I don't remember, other than Drag Race, I don't remember the last Hispanic queer person that I remember seeing on reality TV or TV in general, for that matter. Mm-hmm. So I do love representation matters. It is what we're saying here.
It is.
But
it does.
Are we at the journey? Oh, I'm so sorry. Traveling to Big Rock in Ocean.
Yes, we can go to the boats show up. The boats show up, and everybody's like, "Uh-oh, we know what this means. The boats are here." Everybody's like, "The boats are here. Oh my god, we know what it means." So, okay, starting with Vessi, Dwight really wants to go on this trip. He wants to go, but he don't want to say he want to go. He's kind of like, I mean, if nobody else wants to go, they like, you want to go, just go. So Dwight goes.
Get out.
Just go. If you really want to go, just go. So Dwight goes on the journey for Vesty. Gabler goes on the journey for Baka, and Carla goes on the journey for Coco. So I was thinking, look, when they said going on a journey, I'm still going back to last season where they go on this thing and they walk up this mountain, and it is. But no. They want them to trek across the ocean and just to this big rock that's in the middle of the ocean. And I'm like, are they supposed to climb this rock? But no, they did not have to climb the rock because that would have been ridiculous.
I will say we've definitely seen that rock before, right? Like that's not the first time we've seen that rock.
No, we've seen it because they're in the same place they've been for the last few seasons. So we've seen the rock.
Yeah, they filmed it. I think it specifically the islands are called the Mamanuca Islands, and they filmed there since like 33 or 34, I think. So like it's been a solid couple of years.
I think we've seen the rock, but this is like one of the first times that they utilized the rock.
I actually think, speaking of Island of the Idols again, I think this is the Island of the Idols.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I remember seeing that rock in like drone shots of the Island of the Idols. They use these same islands over and over again for different things. So like I think this was also the island where they had Ghost Island.
Yeah. That specifically. I was trying to think because they had it was the giant's toe or something that they used in the past for something, and I'm mixing
I remember that. Yeah,
I don't think that's the exact same.
Oh, was that Winners at War too?
It might have been Winners at War.
Was this also Edge of Extinction?
At War because that was it was Winners at War because it was the second Edge of Extinction, and it was I think Amber figuring it out and running.
I think it was Amber. Yeah. Anyway, this island is used a lot, is what we're saying. And so the twist here is a little bit different than the wheel twist. Obviously, they have to change things because these people have seen 41 and 42. Mm-hmm. So now it is a risk. It's basically deal or no deal.
Yeah.
It's like risk or no risk. So if you don't risk, then there's literally nothing happens. But if you do risk, based on the number of people that also risk their vote, you draw a little capsule out of the bag. One person will receive an advantage. Everybody else who draws will receive a no vote.
Yeah.
I like this a lot more than the ship wheel. Because I like that this is public and they get to talk about the twist before they actually go do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I like the fact that they do it in front of each other. So it's not like I have to go and you don't know what I decide. Like they find out exactly who did what right there. So it's like,
it is a lot more public information. So I'm just trying to think through it. So the only scenario that heavily changes is actually the two-person scenario. So in the original two-person scenario, like with the ship wheel, you don't know if you were the only one to risk or wait, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
you don't know if you were the only one to risk. No, you know if you're the only one to risk because if multiple people risk their votes, they don't lose it, right? Is that how it was?
I don't.
Because I'm trying to remember it. Let me look it back up because it's got to be on the Wikipedia.
But yeah.
Oh, okay. It was a little more complicated. So that's what it was. It was if one or two people decided to risk their votes, each of them received an extra vote. If all three did, all three burned it. So it was a lot less knowledge of, okay, this person did not throw their vote out. These people did. I know that at least one person didn't, but I don't know who it is. All that versus, okay, You are publicly revealing to each other what it is. And then there is a little thing inside a little goodie bag, like a little capsule toy from Japan. And you're just going to figure it out, it's very, very interesting to analyze from a game design perspective.
I'm interested to see how many different scenarios we're going to end up with. Like, because I assume we're probably going to have something like this every week in the pre-merge, presumably. I think that's how long they did the journey on 41 and 42. So I'm interested to see how many different permutations of this we get, how many different advantages they're actually going to give out. Because what we see here is Carla decides she's not going to risk her vote, and Dwight and Gabler decide that they are going to risk their votes. So they both draw, and upon returning to camp, we find out that Gabler risked and won, and Dwight risked and lost. So Dwight will not have a vote at the next tribal council that he goes to, and Gabler has an idol that can be used for the next 2 tribal councils. And instead of, hiding this information and, keeping this information to himself, he decides he's going to scream so every single person who is currently in Fiji could hear him get this idol. I'm just going to say now, I'm not a big fan of Gabler. He's not someone that I'm rooting for. I just find, I see that he understands how to play Survivor, and he's obviously a fan of Survivor, but this one episode, I'm not really getting anything rootable, and that seems mean, but I'm also like, you're gonna scream and holler and all that, and we'll talk more about him later, but yeah, just I didn't love the way that he went about it personally.
Yeah. It just... So the thing is, I get what he was trying to do. In short, what he was attempting to do is, because everyone knew when you go on the journey, you're going to probably get an advantage, or you're going to get an opportunity. So there's no reason to lie. So he directly said to his tribe, this is exactly what happened. I have a 1 in 2 shot at having an idol. Publicly saying it out loud does give him the opportunity to attempt to flex that and basically hide behind it for 2 rounds. Saying, I have an idol. Are you sure you want to vote me and burn your entire vote? Whoops.
Yeah.
But also, really? Are you sure you want to push your luck that prevalently? And then there's something else later on, which is just like, what?
I want to jump to something else, but I know we're not there yet. But
we're not there yet.
I did love that they both had at least a basic enough understanding of going, like, we know that, like, we went on this, so people are going to expect something. So I loved that Dwight, we don't see Carla talk about it at all, because we don't see much of the Coco tribe really the rest of the episode. But I did appreciate that both Gabler and Dwight were like, hey, this is the scenario. This is what's happening. I think Dwight went about it a lot better, where he was just like, yeah, I don't have a vote, so, like, watch out for Gabler. And it's like, okay, well, like, we're not even close to being able to watch out for Gabler unless there's a tribe swap. And, like, honestly, in this new era of Survivor, I would love to see a tribe swap on this season pre-merge. I would love to see that. Yeah. But yeah,
we get Cody. Like, I don't believe anything he says. I was like, what? Why don't you believe anything? I mean, he says the water was up to here. He comes back dry, and that's only been like an hour. I'm like, do you know how hot it is? And the boat ride from where he was back to camp could totally dry his clothes. I don't.
Also, like, who are you to tell that it's only been an hour and a half?
Like, you don't know how
There's no concept of time.
Right, you have no idea how long he was over there just waiting, and after they got out the water, and from the time they did the thing, how long they had to stand there, how long it took him to get back. You have no idea. So I was like, how you just don't believe him just because. Just
to nobody's surprise, not a fan of the white men on this season. That's just pure happenstance in this scenario, because I think the only two are Cody and Gabler. Yeah, just not a fan. Not doing it for me.
I just didn't like that. I was like, because there was no reason for. I understand paranoia. I understand you know having. You don't really trust anybody in this game, and he could be telling you anything, but like nothing in his story seemed like, if I was listening to that story, not knowing, just sitting on that island, there was nothing in his story that seemed to be off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It wasn't like that.
Also, didn't he show the thing?
He did. He showed that he did not get it. He was like, I didn't get it, so watch out for Gabler. Like, nothing he said seemed suspicious. Now, if you were like, it's been people who came back from that trek and they seem suspicious. It's like, oh, you just sound real suspicious.
Tori, what?
Yeah, Tori, yeah, for sure, just sounds suspicious. And so it's like, girl, but there was nothing in his story that seemed like it was suspicious to me, and it apparently not to anybody else on the tribe, because everybody else was like, oh, great, okay, well, we got to watch out for Gabler, because Gabler, but it's only good for 2 tribes anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So, two tribals. So, moving right along, they so like I said, Dwight loses his vote. Dwight loses his vote in the thing, and Gabler gets the immunity idol. Blah blah blah. So we move on to the immunity challenge. Once again, I did not write the challenge. So, Jack, if you wrote the challenge, or you have the notes for the challenge, you can tell what the challenge is.
The challenge this time around, as I quickly pull up the actual episode, just to quickly look at it, because my memory is not super great. I think it is the social media that they've been threatening this whole time that's done it. Basically, it was basically a mud run into a table maze.
Obstacle run, obstacle climb, obstacle, as I like to call it.
Yes.
That's what they all are.
Yeah. First it was running through going in low wires to get through some mud, then creating a human wall, then getting someone over a balance beam, and then pulling that down. And then finally, when they got to the end of it, pick a table, which was a maze, an obstacle course, and a straight shot. I don't think we've seen the straight shot before, but the other two we've definitely seen.
I remember it. It's been
It's been a long time since we've seen the straight shot. We've seen it, but it's been a minute since we've seen it. So,
and this triangle table maze situation is like the classic one we see every season.
Yeah,
every single season.
I loved that we got a choice. I really appreciated that.
I mean, if you were the first one there, you get to pick out of all 3 which one you got, and then everybody else gets to pick what's left. And I was like, okay. It was interesting to see. And it was like you start running and somebody had to go under the log and press their body under this, dig out the sand. So we start off, they running, they doing their thing. Coco is out the gate booking it. They get through the everything. They get pretty far quickly into the wall climb thingy.
Yeah. James is just throwing people up this wall, just
throwing. But he could not get himself up the wall. His pants was falling down. He couldn't get himself up the wall. So Ryan comes down and is like, "Wait, let me." Ryan is impressive. I will say this. This man is very impressive. And
not to mention,
I will say him and his underwear shot. I was very here for it, so I'm just gonna say it. Me.
That was very much all over Twitter.
That was it was very nice to look. That man is nice.
I don't have my fan in front of me, but actually I have my standing fan in front of me. Ooh, okay.
I hardly ever comment on how good looking someone is, but
go check out all of our episodes of Australian Survivor and it'll prove otherwise. But
yeah, I mean, Australian Survivor is just
Okay, shush.
Anyway,
But, yes, this was like one of like I definitely agree. Australian Survivor has some of the hottest men on in Survivor franchise in the Survivor franchises, and South Africa didn't do so bad themselves either. I was very impressed with them, but in the U.S., I'm not always impressed by the men that they get from in the U.S. It's some gives and some takes, some heres and some theirs. But this one was a good one. This was a good one to bring.
There's a couple. There's a couple this season.
It was some good ones, and I mean I like Dwight. Looking at Dwight too, he's very good looking to me. So it's some good choices. But Ryan was impressive. I'm not gonna stay on the looks. Ryan jumped down, was like, "Let's do this," and he hauled James up and got James over, and then ran and climbed back up that thing himself. Coco was zooming through this obstacle course or whatever. And then Vessi was right on that trail, like right there. Vessi was right there with them. And then we get to Baca. And Baca was slowing it down. And Janine could not get under this log. Everybody probably would think that she would probably get under because she's smaller, that she don't need as much.
She's the smallest human on this season.
And she could not push her way through this log. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time away from Baca to do that. I point that out for a reason, but we'll get to that. So she finally gets up under the log. By this time, Coco and Vessi are all the way out to almost at the end of the obstacles, getting ready to go down to the boards and pick their games to play. But Baca finally gets up, and they get up to the wall part, and then they have to go over a balance beam. Mariah goes across the balance beam on her first try. Sammy falls and has to go back, but by this time Mariah has undone the knots by herself, open the thing so everybody could cross. I point that out for a reason. Stick with us, people. Yeah. So yeah, but the equalizer becomes the board games for everybody, because now everybody's at these tables. They're trying to maneuver the balls down these different games. And Vessi chooses the straight shot. Coco chooses the triangle maze thingy.
They picked the maze. So Coco had Coco had the first choice. They picked the maze, which I think is also what I would pick personally. Yes. And then Vessi had the second choice. They picked the straight shot, which I think, given triangle, table maze, or straight shot, I think I also would pick the straight shot, because the difference here is it's not just a solid path. There's a path with it has bumpers almost.
Right.
And I was like, that seems incredibly easy if you can get it, which, spoiler, Vessi does. But I was like, that seems a lot easier than I remember it being.
I mean, you have to have some kind of bumper thingies, mechanisms to do that, because if not, that ball is going to fall off every time. It's going to fall off, especially when they have two people maneuvering, because two people have to maneuver the table to make it work. So they needed those. And I like how they placed them not right directly, on top of each other. Like, it was spaces for that ball to fall through. But if you move it fast enough, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah.
And so Vessi's getting it pretty well. It's Jesse and Noelle doing it. Coco's doing pretty well. It's Ryan and Lindsay, I think. And then Baca.
It's Gabler and Sammy.
It's Gabler and Sammy is presumably blaming all of getting annoyed with Gabler.
Yeah.
I watched it back. Gabler's just standing there.
It's literally Gabler's fault. Sammy's fault.
it's literally Sammy's fault. And Gabler is literally just like, dude, I'm standing here. And that's kind of what you have to do with the triangle maze as we've seen it develop over the seasons. It's just like, let the person on the right maneuver and the left person just stay still. And that's kind of the best way to go about it. And Sammy's getting frustrated at Gabler. And for once, I found myself like being on Gabler's side. He's like, dude, I'm just standing here. Like, I don't know what you want me to do, but like you can't Frankie Grande this challenge. Like, you have to be holding on to it at the very least. But it's literally Sammy that loses the challenge for Baca.
Yeah, because we'll say the first winner was Coco. Coco won immunity first. Let me just say this, and the second was Vessi. Let me just say this. For the first time in a long time in U.S. Survivor, I like these immunity idols.
I will say the idols are really nice.
They are really nice this year. Usually I watch Survivor, and me being the person that I am, I'm like, I don't like idols. I don't touch idols because, my religion, and I don't do idols. So I was like, if I ever got on Survivor, I would never go and voluntarily go get the idol, but I would want to win the idol. But these idols are really cute. And so I would probably want to just like play with them because they look like dolls. And I thought they were just really good idols. I was very, Logan, I told you I was impressed by South Africa's immunity idols, and I really liked Australia's immunity idols. But I was never really a fan of U.S. Survivors' immunity idols. This is the first time I really liked them. So kudos to, the production and the people making these idols. I really like them. But yeah, Coco and Vessi win immunity. So we're sending Baca, the tribe that did not talk about strategy, so to speak, or didn't strategize at all. They're now going to tribal.
And here comes the beginning of the end.
It's just literally
you watch like the exact scenario that everyone wanted at the start of the season collapse in on itself. Immediately. And I'm just like, please don't do this. Please don't. Fuck.
This was not what I wanted to happen. I was like, out of any tribe, not this tribe. For several reasons, not this tribe. And so it was
So we get back to camp. And immediately Gabler's like, well, there's 3 things I wanted to do. He's holding court, and I'm just like, he's like, there's 3 things I wanted to do when I came to Survivor, and it was build a shelter, find an immunity idol, and I don't care what the 3rd one is because I don't remember what it is. But because of that, I'm not going to hide behind my immunity idol. I'm going to take my shot in the dark, which I would like to acknowledge at this point. We did not have confirmation that exists.
No.
And I don't think it does. I feel like was it brought up? I don't remember it being brought up.
I think it was. I don't think it was mentioned in the episode because at this point it's kind of a weird knowledge of like, okay, a lot of people started with 41 and 42 as the pandemic hit, and like you were shown these weird episodes on Netflix, so you had to look more, and then you got hooked on 42. I think they're kind of building for that audience. And that is like a natural expectation of like, okay, you know about the shot in the dark, right? Yeah, it exists. Don't question it. Just like, and I think in some preseason interview, they brought up the fact that it exists.
I feel like we talked about it in our cast assessment. We were like, shot in the dark's back. Cool. But I don't remember it explicitly being mentioned in the episode.
Yeah, I don't think it was mentioned in the episode at all, but like he seriously was like, I'm going to use my shot in the dark. And in that moment, I just looked at my screen and was like, huh? What?
I was like, okay, so now y'all can vote him out.
Right. Like, what?
And like, it's cool.
So
but
no, we can't do that because Miss Girl Power herself, Ellie, quickly decides to say, You know what? We need to get rid of our weakest player, which is Mariah.
Okay, and
Huh?
This fucking thing. Yeah.
Huh?
This is the part that makes my brain hurt because
because this is why we brought back. I made a point to bring up all of the challenged people on Baka's tribe and what they did and did not do in this challenge. We had Janine stuck in the sand for a good hour and a half, it felt like she was just stuck there. She wasn't moving. Maybe it was 30 minutes, but she was just stuck there. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, it felt forever. She was stuck there and did not move, which put them back in last place. We had Mariah go up the wall, go across the balance beam on her first try, untie all the knots while Sammy was trying to come across to help and fail and never made it across until Mariah undid all the knots and opened the thing up for everybody to come across. Then we had Sammy and Gabler standing at the wall arguing each other, fighting what they're going to do and who did that and blah, 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 and loses the challenge for Baka. But Mariah is the weakest? What did Ellie do in this challenge?
What
did Ellie do?
I also want to point out that Mariah and Janine, I will say Janine was also a part of this, but in the first reward challenge, Mariah and Janine made up a substantial deficit in the challenge when they made the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Because Allie was struggling with the boat.
The water.
Because Ellie and Gabler were struggling with the boat. It just does not make sense. Like, if you're going to name someone as the weakest, I like her a lot, and I hope she does really well. But honestly, Janine is the weakest on the tribe.
It's just like, sure, if we want to talk about, like, Australian Survivor or South African Survivor, where the challenges are a hell of a lot bigger, and it's like jump over this, jump over that. Even in that scenario, Janine is still probably the weakest. Mariah is not the weakest there, and it's just like a mental image of there's another reason, isn't there? Like, it may not be unfortunately sad, or it may not have unfortunately been done, but there is only, as much as this sucks, one black woman on that tribe. One black person on that tribe.
Yeah. As much as I love Marianne, I think there were too many things in common between Marianne and Mariah. And I think people saw Mariah immediately and said, oh, this is Marianne 2.0. We can't have this. Whether it was consciously or subconsciously, but I'm going to let Lana speak on it.
Okay. It's time. It's time.
It's time for a Lana rant.
Yeah.
Even if you saw that woman and said, this woman is Marianne 2.0, right there, you are unfair. Because why should Mariah have to pay for the fact that somebody who just happens to be black and just happens to have a bubbly personality won the season before her? And now she can't play the game because you feel in your subconscious or conscious bias that this woman is the weakest and she might be a threat to you. The weakest on the first challenge of the whole dang game. This woman has been nothing but stronger than you, but stronger than all of you. Like, what did any of you do? Ellie, what did you do in the second challenge? What did you do in the immunity challenge but run behind everything? Like, you didn't have a pivotal role at all in the entire challenge. Nothing you did specifically helped or not helped your tribe. Nothing. Like, you went out of your way. This woman went out of her way to console you when you were talking about your dead sister and how bad you felt, this woman went out of her way to listen to you, to hug you, to comfort you, to make you feel comfortable with her presence. Because that's the game Black people have to play. People of color have to play on these games. We have to make you feel comfortable around us to make you feel comfortable enough to play with us. Because you didn't even give this woman a chance to play this game when all she did was do everything she could in her power to make it feel. Now, I don't want to make this about race because everybody gonna say, why does everything got to be about race? Why does everything have to be about race? But the only logical thing I can see on this tribe, while all of you all were standing there, all of you good white people and other people of color were standing around there being the weakest people on the tribe. Literally, two big, strong white men were literally the weakest men on the tribe in that challenge. But you look at this small little Black woman who sticks out like a sore thumb with her rainbow colored hair and bright personality to say she was the weakest when Janine laid her butt under that log for 15 to 30 minutes. But you, Ellie, Miss Psychologist, who should know better, sat there and decided, no, I don't want to send Gabler, the old man who literally lost the challenge with us, who has an idol. We know he has
throwing his vote,
and he don't want to vote. He don't want to use it. Like, I don't care if that man said, I'm gonna use my shot in the dark. Okay, we should vote you out then. Everybody should have walked right away from him. Like, then we go vote Gabler, right? Because who sits there and say, I'm not going to use my idol when they got an idol? Who? But these people, okay, let me stop. My rant could go on long. I just say this. The fact that she even was an option at this point for being the weakest was absurd. It was absurd, mind blown. Like you said, Jack, my brain was hurting. Like, I could not even understand why this was a thing, why her name even came out of their mouth. Now, if you would have came up with a alliance, you started the alliance. You started the girl alliance, and then Janine. Oh my God, you thinking smart? You thinking logically? Like, and Mariah's like, if we lose a girl, we are no longer in the majority of this alliance where these men can take over. And we've seen it happen in several seasons. So maybe we don't want to get rid of the girl. Ellie's like, oh, that makes sense. But no, I don't want that to happen. Like,
and it not only took Mariah, it took Janine also considering it for Ellie to be like, no.
But on the flip side, I didn't like the flip side vote either.
The flip side vote was Owen, and I didn't want that either.
I'm like, you want to flip it to Owen when Gabler is standing his old crusty butt right there? Really, we go do this? When Gabler is literally giving himself up for throwing his game on the sword. We want to take Owen or Mariah out this game? I don't get it. What has Gabler done to earn this respect? I don't get it.
And here's the fun thing. And I know it's an older season, especially one that nobody fucking watched, let's be realistic. But I could easily make the comparison that Gabler kind of looks like Ben Crowley and is a similar vibe. They're both maybe not, it may be a little bit harder, but they're both like older men, clearly older than the rest of them. Why wasn't that comparison made? I mean, maybe
because he's a white man.
It's because he's a white man, and also it's an older season. I think literally if Mariah had come on maybe even 2-3 seasons down the line, this one, it wouldn't possibly have been as prevalent. If she had another Black person or potentially a darker person of color on her tribe, this possibly wouldn't have happened. Like, there are so many things where it's just like you literally set her up as a potential target, knowing what's happened in the past. and this is unfortunately the outcome that anyone who's watched this before expected, as much as that sucked.
It was very very triggering watching that moment of when they got back to camp and listened to Ellie just totally flip on an alliance that she started. That is it for two reasons. Number one, being the black somebody watching somebody black, it was just like triggering. Watching as a woman, it was definitely triggering still. Like I got double like blows to my self-esteem watching this whole thing. It was like this woman who we were like, women can work together, and you flip on the first chance you get because we need a man. In what world do we honey, you are the I'm not calling this woman racist. I'm not gonna do that because I'm not. I will not do that. I don't know her. I just know her conscious or unconscious bias kicked in this moment because there was no reason to go after Mariah, and there was no reason to go after Owen at this point when Gabler. And I'm an old person. I root for the older people in these games because I am old and I like to see people older succeed in these games. But this man obviously was ready to throw in the towel because he had an idol and didn't want to play it, was not going to play it. So obviously we take the shot when somebody is literally trying to give up their game. You should take the shot. Any player of any kind knows that. Even in our mini world, we know that. Yeah. If somebody is like, I'm ready to go, we vote them out. You just gotta
not always. No. Sometimes you get voted out over someone that asks to leave.
Oh, somebody did that in the game. Not I don't know that.
Yeah, and you want to know who was voted out instead, Lana? Me.
People, well,
I'm gonna pretend like I know what's going on.
I've had this exact thing happen to me.
I don't even know.
Someone asked. It was a game that doesn't matter because it doesn't exist anymore because it doesn't matter. But someone literally asked that one. Someone literally asked to be eliminated, and then I was voted out instead.
I mean, well, let me go back. Let me backtrack. It's been times where people asked to leave and I was not voting them out because I felt like somebody else needed to go before them. And if I'm like, why waste a vote to send them out if they go quit anyway? So I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. But this was not one of those scenarios.
Right, okay. But no, this was not one of those scenarios. This man was literally going to
and even if he does play his shot in the dark, there is an 84% chance that he's not going to be safe. Those are pretty good odds in my eyes. Like, I'm willing to take that as long as I'm on as long as I have a good rapport with him. Right. Does not matter to me. If I know he's not going to put my name down, then I'm gonna take that 84% and run with it.
The one thing that I've personally had to resolve because my specific org, which I won't name because self-promotion. And
we don't care.
We self-promote here all the time.
Okay, it's Suitman Survivor.
Period.
So we've had a shot in the dark for a past couple seasons. And basically how we work it is that the shot in the dark happens after all idols can be played. There is no chance to go back. Everything is set in stone. It is literally a last resort move. Here, I'm not sure if that's exactly how it worked. Could Gabler have rolled his shot in the dark and then played his idol? Is that a valid move?
Oh, I don't know.
Because is it labeled as a standard advantage? Is it not? Is it a special endgame effect? These are things that are unclear.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've ever been necessarily needing to be resolved because no one before had an idol and threatened to play their shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone who's played a shot in the dark even has had an idol.
Yeah.
So,
or had one potentially even played on them. Like it was just completely out of contention.
I don't think.
I'm just trying to think. Has anyone actually succeeded with the shot in the dark?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No.
how many people have rolled it? Like 4 or 5. So
4
the
or
odds
5.
make sense.
Yeah.
The odds make sense. And statistically, if it was perfect and they were all drawing from the same bag, which they aren't, it should realistically be the next person that draws it. Or if multiple people draw it this season, bada boom, there should be a lot more done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who knows?
Okay, so all that happens, we go to tribal, and honestly, I really don't want to talk about it, but if you all want to talk about it.
I wrote down one line from this, and it was just, everyone was kumbaya, and we have to focus on physical strength, apparently, because that's what Ellie has decided to tell everyone is the important thing.
Yeah.
Can we just...
Mariah voted out.
Yeah.
I'm sad about it. Mariah goes, everybody goes against her, and she's the only one that votes for Owen at the time. So
I will say, ironically bringing up Mariah, one of the funniest things that CBS casting has ever done is cast 2 people on different shows who are both Black women and have rainbow hair at the same time. I don't understand how no one thought of that.
I love it.
It's just like, okay, we have a shot.
I don't know where you were going with that, Jack, and I'm happy with the result, but I was like, I don't know where they're going with that. No,
I don't blame you. I was just like, okay.
Thank God. We have one still.
We have one.
we'll talk about her later, but when I tell you, this was nerve-wracking. This whole premiere episodes were like insane. I was very sad about Mariah leaving unnecessarily, in my opinion.
And that's your heart pick. That
was my heart pick.
First, Lana.
That's sick.
Well, that begs the question then, Jack. We want to know, who do you think is going to win, and who do you want to win at this point after episode 1?
So, when the season started, I was like most people and wanted Mariah to win.
That was your heart pick.
She was a teacher from Philadelphia. She literally had the rainbow dripping all over her. How could you not want her to win?
How could you not? Love her.
And now it's like, you look back and you're just like, ah. And I drafted her too. I was like,
I did too.
So confident.
I did too.
I'm so confident. But I mean, right now, I really, really like James. James has given me just this amazing energy. Carla and Gio, who I did also confirm, are unfortunately the only 2 queer members on this cast. Everyone else is straight, or they haven't said anything that would relate otherwise. So
upsetting.
I mean, both of them, I'm literally just like, okay, I love like the strong majority of the Coco tribe at this point. Like I love Owen, I love Sammy, I love Noelle, but like James, Carla, Gio, Lindsay,
only one, Jack, only one.
Fine, okay. The person that I now want to win, I'm gonna say Carla. She quite literally has rainbow earrings. You can't beat that. But also, she is someone that very clearly like understood how the game is played. She is like very, very outgoing. She just has this beautiful energy. And I want to see her and Gio and James and everyone else that I like still succeed. Please.
Can everyone win except for Cody and Gabler? I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jesse, I love him. By the way, I love Jesse.
You know who I've had a full 180 on, Lana, since our cast assessment? Lindsay.
Yes.
I love Lindsay.
Yes.
We didn't get to talk a whole lot about Lindsay because she wasn't very prevalent in this episode, but I really like Lindsay. And I really like Cassidy, too. The Coco women, big fans. Big fans.
I mean, Cassidy is just a straight up designer. It's like, you can't beat that.
Cassidy said, "Oh, I'm gonna play the snake game. I'm gonna come in here and do that." And I'm like, okay, I respect that if she can pull it off. But well, that's
I do kind of like the Coco women more. I would have liked the Baca women, but Ellie ruined it. So no longer do I like Ellie. I think she is a fake person. I think she is not an ally. She's just shown herself not to be an ally. So she was just a basic white woman who I don't trust. Unfortunately, when you show yourself, I just remember who you are, and I do not trust that woman at all. So once they hit merge, I feel for every POC who is left in that game because that woman cannot be trusted, especially black people. So just James, Dwight, watch your backs. Oh, and what's her name? Start with the E. NECA, watch your backs. Watch your backs. That's all I'm going to say because I don't trust that woman right there. That's my take on it. But that's it. That's it. We are done. It only took us a half an hour to do it, but we did it.
You know what? It's shorter than most of the times when it's just me and Lana. So,
and I mean, the premiere without ads is also an hour and a half.
Yes.
So good
times.
I'll take it.
But we will be back next week for the same thing at the same time. I'm going to say we're going to keep it moving because we got to talk about the Survivor. Jack, you are welcome back anytime you would like. We would love to have you. You've been a joy, and you've given us tea that we did not know about. So
I would also like to correct something I said earlier. I had said Evie was the one who put out the Baca thread. It was actually Genki Hall.
Love Genki! Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think Evie put out something else that was relatably similar, but same idea.
Love it.
Well, we love that. So, yes, you are welcome back anytime at the Cup. We love to have you. And that's it. So, y'all know what to do. Like, subscribe, and everything. Follow us on at the Cup_reality to get all the notifications on when we will have when we will drop shows, when we're going to go live, if we ever do go live. And also, who knows? We might decide to pop up with something.
You know, I've considered going back. I've considered going to doing live streams, and I just don't know how I love that.
We'll figure it.
I might be able to give you some tips on that.
I've done it. I've done it more times than I can count. It's just with this format, it's not always the best. But
it's a bit harder to just speak off the cuff and all that. But
maybe for a Big Brother season that we're actually going to cover.
Right, because see, we were going to do live things after live shows on Big Brother, but we decided we did not like the season, how it started, so we were not covering it anymore. So that's
I'm not loving how it's ending.
And I'm not loving how it's ending, so I would be very upset.
It's falling apart at the very end, and please don't do the same thing BB Can did. Please don't.
I really feel like it's happening. I really it just bothers my soul that we're going to take this another season in a row, but the only good thing about this outcome of that could happen, but I still have faith in my girl. I do believe, and this is my Big Brother take for the at the end of the Survivor episode. I do believe if Taylor makes it to the final 2 seats, she can pull it out because we know our girl loves the speech, and she has the poise and the grace and the elegance to pull a good speech together and tie up her game in a pretty bow. And I think they are over analyzing the jury. Sure, a lot of people in the jury like game and like game moves, but I think they like her story is going to be a lot more than they could bypass. And if she just presents it well, she could possibly beat both of those boys, but she will have the hardest time against Monty, unfortunately. But and I am a Jailer fan, and I hope that after this is all over, that Joseph can understand all the lies and the manipulation and the gaslighting that these people have done to Taylor, which pushed her to Monty, but then made her realize, I don't like this man. She don't like that man. Don't nobody like that man. And when they get out this house, she is going to surely see, oh, really? I don't like this man. And Monte, please, that's delusional. Jailer, they have a chance. I think they will smooth this over in the postseason. They will figure it out. Joseph's family is going to be like, bruh, you need to stick with that one because she going to get you on the Amazing Race. She going to get you on and have all the people. The followers are there because of Taylor. Let's be real. Everybody who was following Joseph is because he liked Taylor. We just like Taylor. We love Taylor. And everybody who's associated with Taylor on a good note gets the good vibes. Everybody who is on the bad note.
So just Joseph.
Exactly. Everybody else will know no peace in that house. Everybody else.
And that's what you missed on a whole season of us not covering Big Brother 24.
And anyway, just to end, if you haven't already, go to cbs.com/shows/big_brothers/vote and vote 10 times for Taylor. I swear to God, if she doesn't win this cruise.
You better vote for Taylor for clear skin. I used every email that I had and every email that I've made. I've created more emails just for this. So
I would actually warn you against that because there is something in the terms of service that they can throw out emails they do not trust.
No, but emails, these were legit emails. All of these, I have created legit emails just for this. Now,
we did this for Tiffany and we did this for Davon. It's the same process for Taylor.
We're gonna do it. It's going to work, and trust it will happen. I think I have like 40 emails at this point. But
anyway, we've got another show to record, so bye.
Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, it's right there. You're seeing it, unless you're listening, and then you're not seeing it. But
follow us. Bye.
Yeah, in that case, it's Linktree /The Cup Reality.